Guys, thanks for visiting again the 42 Degree South Boatworks page. We're continuing on with the, little things to check on your boat when you can, when you're running it, and some maintenance things along the way too. We're back on the little Firefly. I hope the last video was used to you. I can't wait to see all the comments and bits and pieces. If you do like what I'm doing, please like, share and subscribe. It's really important. I want to get this out to as many people as we can, because this information it's not clever, it's not fancy, but it will help you, particularly if you're getting into boating or learning more about boating. So again, thanks for joining in. Let's get to it. So the first check we're going to do with this, and it probably sounds strange, particularly if you're not an alloy boat owner, but for alloy boat owners, this is something that to me is kind of a must. There's a lot of misinformation out there about corrosion, about electrical currents, about electrolysis. All these words get bandied around, but they're never actually explained. So one of the things I want to do with this is not only show you a check of the boat, which you really should be doing anyway, but also see if I can find you any different sorts of corrosion on this boat. Now, to be fair, from brand new, this boat has been treated by me, so she doesn't really have a lot, but there's a couple of little spots we can focus on. So let's go and have a look at them. All right, so as I said, there's a lot of differing opinions of corrosion. There's a lot of differing information out there. There's people, if you really want to know what it's about, that you should talk to, and hopefully this helps you in that direction as well. The vast majority of corrosion that you're going to come across has got absolutely nothing to do with the boat and everything to do with how it's looked after. There's a lot of talk about electrolysis and stray current and all these things. Well, I can tell you they're far less common than what you would actually expect. So I'm showing this patch for a reason. So this boat, as I said, has done about 650 hours, and at least in my ownership from new, all of that was tuna fishing. This boat has caught more fish than anything else. So you can imagine, they're a wet boat out in the Southern Ocean, you'd think it'd be corroded to hell, right? But it's not. Here's why. If we look at this here, those little white spots, bits and pieces, that's not corrosion, that's oxidisation. That is the aluminium actually protecting itself. It forms an oxide layer. Any welder knows this, that you need about 4 times the temperature to get through that, and then you have to balance that with the aluminium. So if your boat looks like that, just little white patches, and you can run your finger over it and it's smooth and there's nothing actually on your fingers at the end, it's not corroding. That's oxidisation. Let it happen. It's a badge of pride, if you want to call it that. One of the things that gets thrown around a lot on the forums is about the anchor lockers on some boats and some brands of boats. Now, I've always been a pretty vehement disagreeer with that. I think there's very, very simple things that you can do to negate that. But for now, I won't give that lecture. What I want to do is show you, again, the difference between something that the aluminium is doing through itself. And there's no corrosion there. That is just oxidisation, that's it. It's not doing any harm. In fact, it's actually protecting the boat. But if you look down here, at some point, and I'm not sure when, something that's been wet with salt water has been held against that. You see, I can actually draw a circle around it in the salt that's there. That's corrosion. That's the sort of stuff that we're wanting to look at now. The differences being, there's a grey kind of scunge coming off it. 2, takes a lot to actually get any sort of clean at all. That means realistically it's an active pit. That pit is still working. It's actually working its way through the hole very slowly, to be fair. So that would have been caused by wet life jacket, wet rope, anything just held against there for a couple of days. It's so quick for it to happen. And then what's left behind when you move it, if you're not 100% careful, is that salt will still stay there. And as long as the salt is touching that aluminium, and salt being hygroscopic, meaning it attracts and holds onto water, it never fully dries out, that will continue to corrode. How do we stop that? That's a video for another day, but that's one to keep an eye on. It's not a concern, it's just a visual thing, but you can really see the difference between that versus that. I've got nothing from there and a heap of dirt from there. Some places you have to get under to find what's really going on or if there are issues. The most common place without fail on any alloy boat where you're going to find corrosion. It's down the back where water sits in the bilge. Now, there's a lot of, I guess, different theories about this. There's a lot of different products out there. I'm pretty much going to disagree with all of them. You don't need to complicate it. It's a very simple thing to do. The maintenance is very simple to do once you understand what's going on. So, if you look around here, most that I get to, more than a year old or so, will have quite pronounced pitting along there. There's none there. That's clean alloy. Now that grot on the surface is the product that I use to protect it, which is a heavy duty lanolin spray, not Lanox. I'm not using Lanox on it, it's a different product. But that has protected that from day dot. If you look over in here, which is notorious for holding salt, same thing. It's been protected. And it's not pretty, it looks dirty. It looks like it needs scrubbing up and, making shiny, but at the same token, there's no corrosion in it. It's being protected. It's stopped being a big problem purely from doing simple steps. However, if we move around to here a little bit, this little patch here, there's nothing to worry about. Again, it's just cosmetic, but you can see I can pull dirt off it. That just means that it's time when I do my next scheduled, I guess, anti-corrosion one, which is every 6 months for me. That just means that I need to get in there, clean off that surface. Now, to do that, I'm just using a scrubbing pad, never, ever, ever metal, always nylon. Just knocking that back like you knock whiteheads off zits, and then making sure it's bone dry, bone clean and salt free, and then that's not going to be a worry anymore. That's only just started to take hold now. There's no pits, there's no roughness, but I know it's active because I can actually pick up the dirt from it. So at this point in time is the best time to get in there and actually get your boat protected when it's brand new or as part of a regularly scheduled maintenance. I know before this boat even hit the salt water, it got the full treatment long before it went in the water. And that's one of the reasons she's lasted so well. So that's a cool one there. All right. Now this one's going to be hard. It's another chronic area of corrosion, and this is not just on this boat, this is in any alloy boat, is areas where you've got crevasses, where you've got hard to wash, they're hard to get rid of the salt. Because it's salt is the protagonist, it's got nothing to do with dissimilar metals or anything like that, it's salt. It's the one that causes the problem. You can put aluminium and stainless steel together, leave it for years, and so long as it stays dry, you won't ever have a reaction. Put some salt through it, and you'll have galvanic reaction. And that's what's happened here. So as down below in the bilge we showed you, this has had at some stage things sitting in it. Now some of it's normal, deck washers here, so it does, the hose does hold salt on there. A lot of it is oxidization, but here's the thing, and this is the cool part. Down the back, that corrosion and up into the anchor, the corrosion's active, meaning that I have to actually do something to stop it. This isn't. This is inert. And the reason I know it's inert is because none of the crap's coming off it, one. And two, the oxidization is starting to look like the corrosion. Now what that means is, and this is a beautiful thing with aluminium in general, you remove the source, problem stops. It won't corrode on its own, it has to have some form of electrolyte to create an electrical current to make it corrode. So effectively that is what corrosion is. So that there, you can actually see just a couple of little pits. Just there. Nothing big, nothing to worry about at this point if they're looked after. Now, another giveaway that says that they have become inert is, see the blackening inside? That blackening is effectively impurity in the alloy. If you see that blackening, and little small pits, you don't have to worry. That pitting stopped a long time ago. To take care of that, to make sure that just gets looked after, do exactly the same thing as I said on the other side. Nylon pad, just, you're not trying to dig these out, you're not trying to create a massive mess, you're just trying to get all the salt and detritus out of them. And that's the most important thing with all this cleaning. If you leave salt there and then put a product over the top of it, you're then effectively sealing that salt against the alloy, and it's going to make the problem about 50 times worse. So it is absolutely critical that you clean as you go, and you clean way harder than you've ever cleaned. So that's cool. I'm glad I found that. I'm not worried about it. I know it's not electrical. Nothing to stress about. Now, we've seen a couple of different types on here. Now, one of the things that I get asked over and over and over again is, do I have stray current? Do I need to worry about my pitting? Now, my reply to that is usually saying, probably not. Send me the photos, we'll have a look. But if I see active pitting here with no real reason for it, now this is on the starboard side, active pitting being as in they're getting bigger and bigger, there's white crap coming out of them, sometimes yellow crap, then you don't necessarily have stray current, but you definitely have a problem. Whether that's maintenance, whether that's electrical, we'll get to that. So that's your water line. So effectively you've got they're also two different grades of alloy. So not as bad as stainless steel / alloy, but these are two dissimilar metals. They've got dissimilar characteristics. The other reason it'll form on the starboard side much more than the port is because it's tracking the cabling down. Almost every trailer boat has the cabling and wiring on the right hand side, on the starboard side. In this case, this boat had it on the floor. But what it's doing, and when I'm looking for those patterns, is you'll actually see them almost always elongate. They'll stretch out. And that stretching out is that electricity trying to find a way back to the ground point. That's when you've got an issue. Now, that's still not strictly stray current. That's more what we would describe, or more what I would describe as a bonding issue. Bonding meaning that the electrical potential of your hull is equal. Everything is equal, there's no restrictions. So I might try and explain that in a different way, but even looking at that, 650 hours in of tuna fishing, she doesn't have a single pit there, which means electrically she's great and she's been looked after properly. Win. So, I guess the takeaway from this is only a very short video, and I will be doing a lot more in depth, a lot more digging into this whole corrosion thing. I'll be doing the same with fiberglass. Now, it's not corrosion with fiberglass, obviously it's rot, but they kind of equally are as annoying as each other, but a lot easier to deal with than people realise. And one of the secrets to, I guess, what I do is understanding that the more stuff I put on the boat, the more likely it is that I'm not actually going to get a good wash. It's not going to be clean, it's going to be full of salt. So when I work with clients and set up a program, there is surprise, like, you don't use this, no. So here's what you need. If you want to keep your alloy boat, glass boat, absolutely beautiful, you simply need fresh water that's volume, not pressure, volume. You want a soaking action, so like a shower head. And the reason for that, if you're using that, it will actively dissolve salt. If you're using a spray will just put salt there to there and then push it along. Doesn't really work that great. So with caches and things like that, you're never going to get a good clean. Now, I may get in shit for this, but this whole salt away, salty captain thing, just no. Better if you just don't use it on your aluminium hull. I lost count of the amount of boats that I've been engaged to come and have a look at, and the discoloration, or pitting, not pitting, but discoloration of the alloy, and all these, I guess, disfigurements had all come from the same place, which is those chemicals. Now, it's not that they're bad in and of themselves, you just don't need them, and it does tend to promote that you're not as careful, you know, giving the boat a bit of a scrub with a nylon brush or a sponge. It's easier just to spray it on and assume it's going to do the work. Problem is, after a year, your boat looks like it's pretty much a zebra. So, do I use it on any alloy hulls, or do I recommend it? Absolutely not. Flush your engine? Absolutely. Because it doesn't matter what your engine looks like inside, as long as it's clean and salt-free. On your boat, when you're using that gear, you're just stopping it from oxidising. God, I'm good. I'm not even going to edit that out. I'm going to leave that in because I forgot how to speak. Using those products will continually strip away that oxide layer, so the aluminium never actually gets a chance to harden up. Now, that's okay for some people. It's not something I want to do on any of my boats. I want them to last for the duration. They're bloody expensive, so it's better to look after them simply than not. Now the only other product you really need, or two products, is a couple of lanolin products. Now they're not available worldwide. They're in Australia at the moment. One is a lanolin grease, which has replaced pretty much everything in my toolbox for stopping dissimilar metals touching. The other is a heavy duty lanolin spray. Lanox is cool. Lanox is good for things like your engine, just general surface areas, but it's not hard wearing. It will come off pretty quick. This other stuff, which I'll put in the link below, that's pretty hardcore. So that's an overview. What we'll do in the next one is I want to hone in on some really specific ones so you know what you're looking at and try and dispel a few of those myths. Thank you so much for watching and for being a part of this 42-degree community that I'm trying to build. I hope this information is useful to you. I hope you can find things on your own boat that you can relax about now that you've seen this, because it is scary when you see your boat corroding. It's a horrible feeling. And again, if you enjoy the content, please like, share and subscribe. I'd love to see as many people as we can get to share this page. If you want to wander over to my Facebook page as well, 42 Degrees South Boatworks, you'll find on there a whole heap of articles written about all these subjects. So video is not your thing, but reading is. Wander on over there, find the article you want, print it out, and good to go. Again, another very important part of this video is we've got to say hello to the new 42 degree cameraman. Harry Roo, take a bow. Thanks for joining, dude. We're making it bigger one step at a time, and I love it. Enjoyed it? Ace. Here we'll be having more for you guys soon. So for now, see you later. Thanks, Harry.